Hello everybody and welcome to Andrew Broussard Watercolors. Today I have a quick sketch that I did of another Hermann Herzog painting. This one was referred to as a coastal landscape. I'm not sure if that was just kind of a overview that somebody else gave it or the actual title. This one was done on the same paper. This was Canson Heritage 9 by 12, taped off to the outside edge would be 8 by 10. I used the Fountain Pen Revolution Himalaya version 1 fountain pen, but the ink for this one I used was the Noodler's Heart of Darkness. Now, I've used the Noodler's Heart of Darkness a lot for master studies, but I've never really used it for the master study and then a wash of watercolor over it. So we'll kind of see how it is. It's supposed to be waterproof. However, some people say that a few days later, and this was sketched on a Friday, and I'm doing this on a Monday night, so about 2.5 days. And they say a few days later, there is some ink that gets lifted. Those same people did say that if I mix it to 20% water to the ink, it could potentially dilute it so it's not oversaturated and it's not sitting on top. I didn't try that. That'll be an experiment for if we see that there's issues. Another thing that I saw with this, with the fountain pen, it started to run dry. And I didn't have that issue with the platinum carbon ink, but I think it's because of how wet of an ink this is. So I don't think it was a fault of the ink. I think it was the pen trying to keep up with how flowy the Noodler's Heart of Darkness is. Also, I don't know if I had mentioned, it looks, to me when I was sketching it, got darker a lot quicker. So I think down the line I should do a side-by-side comparison of Noodler's Heart of Darkness, the platinum carbon ink, and Noodler's Black as well, because that's another waterproof light fast ink. Anywho, without further ado, I'm going to take my squirrel brush and kind of wash over it like we did in previous ones. We'll see if we see any instance of the black running off. Kind of wondering if I should just take straight water and see if it pulls it off. And I think, unfortunately, that is happening. Yeah, so you can see that there. So, let's see what we can do with that. I think I'm going to have to take a different approach. Maybe I should wet the whole thing and let that happen. And then from there, now that I know it's going to happen, the reason I did that is, now that I know it's going to happen, I have that gray take place, and then I can then deal with that overall gray. So I'm kind of trying to use that to my advantage, or at least get an overall grade down, and then work from there. Anywho, so that answered the question very quickly. If even though it's waterproof, it's probably oversaturated ink, like I had read online. So a future experiment will be the 20% water mixed into the ink. Okay, so this is ultramarine. And burnt sienna. I'm wondering if more concentrated pigments, not necessarily pure tones, but just concentrated mixes, will help counteract the effects of that gray. Here's some light red oxide. Some alizarin. Grab some lemon yellow. See if I can get sky and cloud colors. Now, I love sketching with this ink, but obviously straight from the bottle, it is not doable with washes over it. I wonder how it would be for just an ink wash. That would be just kind of like a monochromatic pen and ink and the ink wash. That'll be an experiment for down the line as well. By the way, if there's any experiments or any inks or anything you want me to do, let me know. I know I've been kind of on a sketching kick lately. So I am on the winter break. So I'm going to try to do some different videos. Get some different content up for y'all. And let me know what y'all want to see. It's not like we could really go anywhere with all the COVID stuff. What if it'd be helpful to grab, what if we do a gouache? I may be jumping too quickly into this, but my water isn't super pure, so I'm getting a grayish gouache. I'm going to come back to that. Let's play around with these dark clouds. I wonder if that would work as well. Besides the fountain pen and the ink wash, if it was a fountain pen ink wash, then black and white gouache. Grab that dark. I'm playing with the sap greens. Let me pause for a second and get some gouache. Is it paused? No? Okay. All right. I grab some light gouache. Kind of just lay it heavy in this area. Since this is the Da Vinci brand, it's not absolutely opaque, so I'm going to let it water out a little bit. Try to lighten up these. Hopefully it doesn't look too chalky. This might be the way to mellow out the ink. And I can come back over with some watercolor. Gouache is not as ground up as watercolor, and it'll sit on top of the paper as opposed to those. That's the cats, which I'll do it. It'll sit on top of the paper as opposed to sitting more in the fibers. So you just have to be careful of that, and then, you know, if you roll it up or mail it or something like that, I believe gouache is more prone to cracking. I'm trying to get some pure bright white right here. I'm going to grab some lemon yellow. I have some gouache on the brush, so it's kind of pulling that up as well. I'm just going to let it sit more on top. I wiped it off on the palette just so that it doesn't stay contaminated with the gouache. I'm going to grab a little bit of light red oxide, and then most likely I'm going to call it from there, just because of there's just so much going on this. And we'll do a dry off and kind of get our bearings and see what's taking place. Okay, so let me do a pause and a dry off. All right, I'm back after that quick dry off. I did notice, and I'll have to go back and look at the film, it looks like the gouache became even more transparent as it dried. Which gives some interesting possibilities with how it's kind of layering on top of the ink itself. So I figured I'd grab the gouache palette and kind of play around a little bit. I'll just kind of just reflecting on what happened. So ultimately, like I had said earlier, the Noodlers ink by itself is good for sketching. You know, I've used it before. I really enjoy it. It's wetter than the platinum ink, and I'm going to have to compare it. I'm going to do a comparison video side by side so we can kind of see the darkness between the two. Waterproof wise, it is waterproof, but the top layer isn't. So like I said, it seems to be that the ink itself is oversaturated and is not fully adhering to the paper itself, and that the possible solution for that is doing a mix of 20% water. I'll have to look and see if it has to be diluted water or if I can just boil some water or what, but that'll be pretty easy to do, and I can do that on video, just quickly show you guys how to do the 20% if that's something you're interested in doing, because the Noodlers ink is a very cheap, affordable and quality ink, obviously with that one flaw, that one major flaw. But you know, the whole point of this experimenting is, you know, seeing what can work for us and how we can work around it. That being said, So we'll do a video with that. We'll do a comparison video. We do need to go back to some watercolor stuff, just pure watercolors. So if there's anything you all would like to see, let me know, any subject matter. You know, like I said, I'm off from work for the next 2 weeks. I'll be doing some coaching, but it won't take up all my time. And what else? Oh, there's a Spanish photographer that I had found that's deceased, and I want to do a video on that photographer because the photographed landscapes look like some of my monochromatic or two-colored tonalist landscapes, and I'd like to do studies and paintings of those photographs. So it's really cool. So I'm going to do a film on that. Now I'm just taking black gouache, kind of just accentuating. That's what I'm playing with. I grabbed the gouache palette. I could really play around with other colors. I think this is a Venetian red. No, not Venetian red. Vermilion. It's not true vermilion, but it's a mix of two pigments. I think true vermilion had life fast issues, but I had it there when I first got gouache for the Zorn palette, which I haven't done gouache painting in a while. Here we're kind of just playing around with it, seeing how it sits on top of the ink. But that's really something that needs to be done as well. So much stuff, so much time, so many options. That bled so beautifully right there. I believe we had put the color in and we had did that white gouache wash over that. It looks really nice. I'm sure here is a good opportunity to kind of tickle back and forth where you'd say, oh, don't tickle it, but a lot of potential for beautiful clouds. I'll play around with a little bit of this ultramarine, and then we'll call it. Ultramarine mixed with a red. And bring a little bit of that. Parsley. Let me pause for another dry off and then I'll turn it back on. We'll take off the tape and we'll sign it. All right, so whenever you pull off tape, and I'll always say this because you never want to forget, pull it away from the painting. And it's quite satisfying getting that nice crisp edge. Let's grab that. I'll try to move my hand out the way. And the reason I tape these off is that I like that nice white border and then a matte on top of that. Here I have an eyedropper pen that's actually filled with the Noodlers Heart of Darkness. I like to put my name in these whenever I do a master sketch, but then I like to also say who it's after. So I'm going to put my name here. And this is after Herman Herzog. The cats are like knocking everything over all over the house. Coastal landscape. All right, so put a matte over it, see how it looks. And of course, as always, please like, subscribe, follow. Please comment down below. I'd love to hear y'all's feedback on these things. And, you know, of course, stay safe this holiday season. Happy belated Hanukkah. Happy preemptive early Christmas. Happy New Year's. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy everything. So, I have to get a better mat soon. And there you go. All right, y'all have a good day. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.